Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the Gaia Daily for April 21st, 22nd, 2020. Well, we're moving into the energy of this new moon in Taurus. For today, we've still got the moon in Aries, and that means it's going to be squaring up with Pluto and Jupiter before it moves into the sign of Taurus for this new moon happening in part of the world in the Western world for Earth Day on the 22nd. So a new Earth Day. Because this new moon is going to be so close to Uranus and Taurus, it's speaking to the new energies, new frequencies, new paradigm, new age that we are trying to move into, right? And that is kind of the message for these souls today, or coming through. Of course, been talking about it, but that's your role. That's what's going on for you. Okay. So there's all this play going on in the world that is so easy to get sucked into. And really interesting feelings coming up. We talked about around the past ages, and did you do what you're here to do? And did you complete, were you successful in your mission? And of course you weren't, because you were highly targeted and interfered with on multiple levels. And so the important message is that this is what you're here for, but it's not about that lower play. So the energy coming through today has to do with sovereignty, and that these souls, you guys, claim sovereignty for yourself, for all of the groups of people you feel responsible for, which is often all of humanity, and the earth itself. You claim that by claiming your spiritual consciousness sovereignty, which it's hard because we want humanity to step up and to awaken and to stand up for their rights and to evaluate the information that's coming at us, and to question, and to realize that we have been a slave planet. But it's more and more becoming clear that it's not your job to do that, because that pulls you into the lower play of energies. Your job is to give yourself sovereignty in these frequency vibrations, to allow yourself to step over the threshold. And the evidence that you've done that and allowing yourself to have sovereignty is that you feel good, right? And then we talked about how the attacks come the closer you get to freedom, the more the attacks come. And there's kind of this really strange wave of energy going on, of like extreme feelings of freedom beyond what you felt in a long time. And then the control technological energy coming deeper into your field than you've really, like, it's almost like it's showing itself, right? It's showing itself what's been affecting you and pulling you down in your psychological mind for so long. The war is here in our consciousness. And so the protest, the action, the standing up for our rights that happens in these soul groups is moment to moment, day to day, allowing yourself permission to move into the higher frequency vibrations. And of course, it isn't easy because, like I said, it's this play, but even just a few minutes there, it changes your vibration. We have to rewire the programming, because part of it all coming to the surface is like, oh my gosh, like I have been very much attacked. We all have been, right? By the technological systems. And this current situation is a direct has a direct connection to the heightened frequencies on the planet. Right? I mean, these energies that since Atlantean time have been holding back our spiritual evolution, they are not going to give up without a fight, right? And for some souls, and I hope that everyone can, feel in their heart to step up and play their role, but it's really important for you souls that are here to lead the way of spiritual ascension to just know that that all of this is happening. I feel like I've seen this again and again in different ways, right? But it's like a pep talk, okay? Um, and that this is happening because we're moving to higher frequency vibrations, and that's where you need to be. And then the tentacles come in, the soup, the responsibility contracts, the feelings of failure. I need to do something. I need to go help people. I need to do that. And it's like your job, your help, your role, your purpose, your passion, your path, the truth of who you are is allowing yourself spiritual sovereignty. And your spiritual sovereignty is also sovereignty for your neighborhood, your city, your state, your country, your village, your planet. You know? And so it's like this consciousness war going on around, and I'm seeing people allow themselves to go into the new energies and then immediately pull themselves back, right? Like it's not okay, it's not safe, I'm not supposed to be there, they're gonna come and find me. All this is real stuff that's playing out from the past, right? But for these next couple days, as we move through this new moon energy and new Earth Day, it's really about holding that space of the future. So a lot of what's going on with these souls is that when you're not in a body, you're working in a more broader sense of like longer evolutionary periods of time. So the projects you're working on together in your soul groups, even though so many of us don't feel our soul group, don't know, even believe we have one maybe, but I know from every session I have a soul group show up, and it's absolutely a part of who you are by definition that you have a group you're working with, right? But it's like that there's so much that keeps us from finding each other. And yet it's like your group, part of the reason you can't find each other is because you're being gaslit and manipulated away, and you have for lifetimes, from your purpose, right? Oh, no, that's not real. That's not true. You don't have a spiritual purpose. That's silly. Pay attention to what's real, what really matters. Like, why don't you get a job and get some, accumulate some certificates and degrees and stuff so you're a real person in this world, right? And that paradigm is falling. And you are the stars of the new paradigm. And so these groups, basically what happens when you connect with your soul group on the astral plane, that's how it happens first. Then they can show up in person, right? But it's like, this project, this, like so many of us being like, okay, what are my next steps? How do I make my career? I know I have these gifts, but what do I do to bring them forward? And what does it look like? And how do I do it? And we're kind of lost in this narrow conception of a personal journey. And it's not a personal journey. It's a group project. And you guys have been working on this project for eons, right? So that's where we need to step back. And that's where it's like, what I'm here to do is to be who I am, which you don't know who you are, right? Because who you are is so big and it couldn't land here for a variety of reasons, right? But now it's time to come into that bigger self. And that's your job. That's your role. That's your destiny. And then the actual practical worldly expression of that with your soul group will come later. But first we got to allow ourselves to get into the energy of it. But it's like, if you can keep that bigger, wider perspective, which is what's going on. The main energy today is the exact between, so the sun moved into Taurus yesterday. Now at 1 degree means it's exactly square Saturn at 1 degree Taurus. So this is our personal identity, who we think we are, coming into a tension aspect with Saturn, the builder, trying to figure out how to build in these new energies, and it brings to mind a dream I had where it was like I was working with somebody and it felt like we were trying to work on this type of project, right? And he was trying to go, and even though he didn't have the knowledge and the skills or the materials to put like a concrete platform, how you have to build the platform, the frame, and then you pour the concrete into it to build a foundation. And it's kind of like that Saturn and Aquarius. It's like, that's not the tools, the materials, and the energy we're working with here. We're working with how to build a new world based on a new vibrational frequency. And I was kind of like, no, I don't think like that's where you should put your time and energy. I was like kind of being like, you don't know how to do that. Like get the professionals to do that, right? Like that know how to pour some concrete and get that all handled. But maybe we should put our energy over here on the energetic building that we're doing. And that's what's so frustrating because there's no validation for it, right? You feel like you don't know what you're doing, but this is what these soul groups are doing. They're building a new world. That's what you came for. Again and again, astrology chart after astrology chart. It's like, oh, you clearly came in to build a new earth, build a new paradigm. And yet we can't build with the old resources that we were using. And that's this sun, who we think we are, coming into this square with Saturn in Aquarius, and the tension of what needs to change in our reality of who we think we are. Right? Like we can build all day in the old paradigm and never get anywhere. And that seems to have to do with this leap we're being asked to take into the unknown, and know that like this part of you that's been disgraced, who's been rejected, cast aside, invalidated, that's the part of you that knows what's going on right now. So it's like you got to shut off all of the outside, everybody out there where you've tried to get validation in this world, and shut all that off and go within to this place of trust. And the mother is there, right? Mother Earth is so wanting to hold us right now through this experience. She knows about the higher vibrations. She's in on the game. She's like, let's go, let's do this, right? And so we're having this huge opportunity to come back to this relationship, and a really great exercise with that, going back to that meditation on Saturday, return to the mother, really good energy around kind of being like, oh, like maybe it's medicine for us to let go of this need for outside validation and trying to orient ourselves. See, the sun in Taurus is like, if you're here to build a new earth, like you can't figure out who you are, orient yourself with these people in this paradigm. No, it's never going to happen, right? But the earth is on the page, our mother goddess Gaia, and she's like holding us, loving us, taking care of us. So that's a very powerful energy. And if we can be in that energy through this new moon, I think that's what we're being called to do, is kind of surrender to the play and the game and the protest and the frustration and the feeling like we are failing, and it's like there's no hope for humanity in the earth, and just go hang out with Gaia and be present with what's happening with her in order to validate what's happening with you and your permission to feel good, feel this light and free like a child of the garden. This is what's being asked about. This is our protest. This is how we claim sovereignty, is in our consciousness. It's like I've been shown over this, like the place we've been is this place where there's this psychological brain. It looks like it's floating out there in space, and it's like an AI, artificial intelligence brain. That's our psychological brain. And it's like feeding us thoughts it wants us to think, right? And getting more and more worse and worse as we are infiltrated with technological control energies, literally in our body, and who knows what is in the chemtrails and everything else, right? It's like, and so it's been harder and harder over these past years to disconnect from this false psychological brain. A lot of times your thoughts aren't your thoughts. And then it gets really confusing to separate out, right? So it's like there's this groupthink artificial intelligence brain that's feeding us the thoughts it wants us to think, which is often lower vibrational energies, right? Because the whole key to this lower matrix is like they're feeding on us. We're the source. And so when we say, hey, I'm going over here, Mother Earth, higher vibration, not going to feed the monster. And of course, that is a metaphor, a lot of what we worked on in that meditation this weekend of cutting off where we're feeding lower vibrational energies through our relationships. And so a microcosm, macrocosm, right? And it's like, we've got to kind of get a radar going on here of like, change our vibration enough to be able to immediately recognize, because when you say no to the feeder energies, that's telling the universe you're willing, ready, and able to hold your spiritual vibration sacred, your gifts. The reason why Earth evolution has been so hard for you, what's wrong about you is actually what's right about you. And so it's like, when you say to the universe, when you show the universe, like, hey, that's not what it looks like. That is not what love looks like. That's not what support looks like, right? And then you can vibrate at that frequency and know it's there for you. But we've got to let go of that old shit first, right? And I'm seeing across the board, these souls are being challenged with old relationship energies coming up. Has to do with this Venus retrograde, right? Venus retrograde in Gemini. Gemini is like about seeing the other side of the story, but it's also about confusion of to what's true, right? Like Geminis are super gregarious, and it's a lot of ideas. It's an air sign, mutable air, right? There's also, so it's like coming to clarity, but being manipulated. So maybe the retrograde, it's like we're trying to come out of the grand manipulation, which is this Earth evolution that's kept us in these lower vibrations so they can use us as food to feed their lower paradigm, right? And it's like, as soon as we stop feeding them one by one, claiming our sovereignty, and maybe this is what's required, maybe this is an important piece of how we find our soul groups and get back together on the projects we came here to do that we've been working on over eons, is that first we have to claim that sovereignty for ourselves. And so that's kind of the energy of what's going on. Very powerful today with the sun. It's like hitting home this, oh my gosh. And it's interesting because, wait, like all this that was, so these souls are having this energy of like everything around them. They're recognizing that they've been so invalidated in who they are and felt so worthless and so like kind of not worthy of their spiritual purpose and mission. And it's like hitting home that you're here to be a part of this. You're on the cutting edge of leading us into this new paradigm, building this new earth. And then all these feelings of like, but do I deserve it? And am I good enough because I failed in the past? But you didn't fail. The energies weren't right yet. Like you were planting seeds, and now we're going to go back and sprout those seeds and grow those seeds into big projects, right? And so it's a really interesting juxtaposition, because it's like, ooh, wow, oh, this is who I am. I'm here for this. And then it's like, this battle, this never-ending psychological battle. And then it's like we just get sucked back into the fray. And it's like this battle we're fighting on a mountainside, and it's slippery and muddy, and we're going back and down, up and down the mountain, trying to bring these people with us, And it's like at some point you have to be like, okay, have it. Have your lower battle, have your lower vibration, have your thing. I'm going to the top of the mountain because that's the only place I can do my work from, right? And there you're going to find your soul group. So very powerful energies trying to shift here with this new moon in Taurus, because right after the new moon, the sun comes into that conjunction with Uranus. And so the Sun-Uranus conjunction, because of everything else that's gone on, like the Mercury retrograde back and forth, Pisces, Aquarius, right? And the Pluto-Jupiter conjunction and Saturn-Pluto conjunction. And so it's like this Sun-Uranus is bringing it home into our hearts. Like, oh, this is, maybe I feel like there's a connection here, like going through all the garbage of the psychological and like a beautiful light connection trying to come through with this Sun-Uranus of like, oh, this is what I'm here for. Like all of that, trying to figure it out, trying to sort through it, trying to pull people up and down the mountain, trying to be a warrior, and trying to protest and awaken. And it's like, no, this is who I am. This is what I came for. I just don't know who I am. And it's like, we're actually being given a great gift right now for these souls in a way with a social distance, because it's like, yeah, that all has to go away. And I need to be here in my cocoon, in the womb of the mother, in my sacred temple, so that I can validate myself as this bigger spiritual being that's here to build new earth and get the heck on with it by claiming your psychological sovereignty, which means feeling good, being at the higher vibrations, and being in the energy of what you know is coming, what you know you're creating by just being in the energy that you've already created from the future, right? See, that's these souls. You're working from ancient times and future times. When you're not in a body, you're a time traveler, timeline worker, and so it's like, that's kind of what we're trying to, can you be in that the solutions are already there, the future already happened, you hold the codes, you hold the vibration, if you can allow it to come in, it's already there, and it's just about embodying it. And so that's kind of the energy of today. And so I hope that you'll consider joining for the new Taurus new moon activation for New Earth Day. That's tomorrow, the 22nd at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. That's 6 p.m. on the West Coast and 9 p.m. on the East Coast. And if you can't make it in your time zone, just catch the replay. We know we're working outside of time here. We are encoding the energies of this New Earth Day, new moon, coming together with full permission to be who we are here and be like, oh, okay, this is what I'm here for. I'm not here for the lower play. I'm not here for the saving. I'm here to be in the vibration of what it is we're creating, because vibration creates reality and it feels really good. And it's about us coming back together as children of the universe, playing in the garden together, taking off all of this. The Atlas comet may be coming to bring off all of this weight we've all been carrying for Earth and humanity that keeps pulling us back down, those responsibility energies, and it's like, take off of the weight of the burden of the so-called failure of Earth evolution and go back to the garden. That's your purpose, your plan, your path, your truth. And then this Uranus and Taurus, it's all about, can we allow it? Do we deserve it? Right? And it's about stepping through. So it's great we're together, and thank you so much for following. And I wanted to point out that there's been some glitchy things going on YouTube as far as like my current videos don't post till the next day. So you have to kind of go to the direct link. If you're not on my email list, maybe sign up in the box below to get the direct link. And know that if you don't see a daily video, it still might be out there. You have to go kind of, and I've seen this with other people I follow too. It's kind of, so anyway, just, if you could share, like, and subscribe, and share with any people who you feel like are on the team and might need and benefit from this information, we can find each other and use our group consciousness to step over that threshold. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow at the new moon activation or tomorrow's update. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.